Cyberpunk just got a ton of new info on both the pre-download and as well as the release times. We also got some new details on Phantom Liberty, especially pertaining to both the ending as well as when the mission will actually take place. We also have some brand new map details as well as some unique store items. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, world? Stripper back in the video. We're checking out all things Cyberpunk. Okay, so first up, let's just jump into the pre-download stuff. We'll get into the release times and talk about some of the confusion there. Now, we did have this tweeted out here by the official Cyberpunk Twitter. Goes on to say here, Phantom Liberty arrives on September 26th, 1 a.m. CEST on PC and midnight local time on Xbox S, Series S, and PlayStation 5. They go on to mention if you want to deep dive into Dogtown, here is the global release map. Now, there is some confusion here because the times are different for the Xbox or PlayStation or game consoles as they are for PC. What it looks like here is that the PC version will be receiving the game at the local time for Poland at midnight. So whatever time your time zone aligns to Poland's midnight time, PC will be receiving it at that time. So as you'll see here, like Australia is receiving the game at the exact same time as the game console is. However, if you are from NA, you will be actually receiving the game a lot sooner than the console players will be, at least around 4 to 5 hours before they're actually receiving the game. Now, this can also depend on your time zone as well as other things. However, if you are on consoles and you are from the New Zealand time zone, then you will actually be receiving the game before anybody. So consoles do get a bit of a win here with the New Zealand trick if they're doing that, and then they can play a little bit early. This is actually quite a lot earlier than PC players. Also, the Xbox and the PlayStation will be receiving pre-download 48 hours before the release date. And this applies to both the Xbox Series X and S as well as the PlayStation 5, of course. Now, it's 48 hours depending on your region, so depending on where you're at, that is kind of not a global release there where it is essentially based on your region. Also, technically the global release time only applies to the actual PC version and not on the console. It's a bit odd there with the time zones, especially with this, but yeah, essentially if you are in New Zealand, you will be receiving the game first. If you're on PC, you'll be receiving it later. However, you could be receiving it earlier than some people in your local time zone, depending on what that variance. Now, these time zones do get a bit wild in NA, especially. You'll be receiving the game 8 hours before somebody on console if they have the same time zone or their same region on their console. However, I'm assuming a lot of the console players are going to be changing their regions to a different location or a different locale. And seemingly that same strat will not apply to PC as it is a global release time. Now, we did have some brand new details on the 2.0 patch as well as the Phantom Liberty and how that's going to tie in to the story and all the missions. So it's not too heavy of a spoiler here. There's no real spoilers with this, but this does apply to where it will be inside the actual game story. So a Redditor by the name of Disturbius has actually put all this together, kind of explaining where it's going to take place. So the expansion will become available after the Voodoo Boys mission, and it happens between the ending of that mission and before the start of the final mission. If you have an old save after that mission, the new expansion will trigger automatically with a call from Songbird. Now, if you wanted to play the expansion in a new game, but you don't want to play the main story again, you will have the option in the main menu to skip everything up until that point where the expansion is unlocked. And you can see that labeled here. There is a regular start and a skip ahead in the story of the beginning to the Phantom Liberty. All content from both Phantom Liberty and the base game will be available at this point. They did make a note here that attribute points will be allocated automatically and you will be able to reset and redistribute them later on. My guess is they just give you a baseline of all the XP earned from the main story quests, or essentially set you up for the level of what the expansion and that DLC will more than likely be. Pretty cool here that you can skip everything. I myself, I'm still going to play through 2.0, and then obviously we'll push to that Voodoo Boys mission so I can be ready in time for the DLC. Now, of course, a further note here is people that used mods in the game may have some crashing issues if they load a save that was in 2.0 that was modded. The number of crashes doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but it was reported 6 crashes in a 50-hour gameplay from a YouTuber. So he was using a modded save, using one of his older saves, and he was crashing a ton. So if you do have a modded save, you might just want to restart. That's what I'm doing. My save was modded like crazy. And yeah, I'm just going to fully restart my character and start from the beginning. That way I could kind of have a refresh take on it. And I played it so long ago. I played back when it actually first released. So I've forgotten some story tidbits in the middle. I kind of remember like the big stuff. But yeah, it's best to just restart your save if it's completely modded out like that. Now, we do have some new additional details on some map stuff. And what we're going to see a map of Dogtown as well as some other locations that might sell some unique items. Now, we do have an interesting one here, which is not confirmed, but the UI suggests that it's a consumable, and it is finally someone selling BDs. This was a big contention point back on release, is that you couldn't activate or use BDs that you would pick up throughout the world. You got to experience the 1 or 2, but eventually you had that vendor that would sell them, and even if you bought them, they didn't do anything. I think you could even find them throughout the world as well, and they didn't do anything or didn't have anything with them. It was just kind of like in your inventory. But in this image here from a YouTube channel, we do have it actually displaying that it is a consumable. So we might actually be able to use the BD and be able to interface with that, as well as the specific vendors selling them. So it could be kind of interesting, and we will have to wait and see on that. Now we do have a map of Dogtown and what Dogtown is probably going to be. Obviously in the southern region of the map here, and so we do have a bit of the location and kind of locale. We do also have another really interesting part, which is the spaceport, which was one of those big things on launch as well that we couldn't get to. This is Morrow Park, or the spaceport, and it's now fully marked on the map in the same ways as other districts are. Again, we don't know if it's going to be explorable or even tied to the story just yet, but it is very interesting that we now actually can see and have the spaceport marked on the map. Now, if you're wanting to change your character constantly and have different things with the Ripper Doc, you can actually change your scars and tattoos now. And now you'll be able to change your entire appearance from the Ripper Docs or via the Ripper Docs, and you'll be able to recustomize your entire character, including those scars and tattoos now as well. Really cool to see that they finally added this in, that you'll be able to change everything about your character and recustomize. That was another contention point. I actually have a video on my channel back from Cyberpunk's launch on how to change several items on your character or several things about your character. I'm not sure exactly, but the original Nexus modder, I believe, found some of the hex values that I located and used that to make his mod of it. I also used the original mod to find some of the other hex values. We're kind of like working back and forth, and I do believe with all of us participating in that, finding those hex values, we were able to kind of help the mod now that allows you to completely change your entire character. Again, I don't know if I influenced that there, but it was kind of showcased in the one Nexus mod. Still really cool there, and I'm glad to see that I was kind of able to participate in that in some way, shape, or form, especially bringing in my kind of minor hex editing skills, but I've done it since I was a kid, so kind of knew my way around it a little bit. Some other last minute mentions here. We do have an update to the infograph that was posted a little bit ago, which was the comparisons between the free update and the paid expansion. Now this will compare the free DLC to the free update to the actual paid expansion. So if you wanted to know the difference here, there's an infograph here. I'll also leave a link down to the post in case you can't see the full res image. Again, this was all done by a Redditor who put this together last time, and it's the same guy, I'm pretty sure, who put it together with this one. Now there are a couple videos on both the YouTube for Cyberpunk as well as the Twitter account. They dropped here the making of the 897 Growl FM teaser, which is kind of like the new broadcast channel, a new radio station. That full video should be coming out sometime today, but there is the preview here if you want to check it out. We also have a video recap of the Phantom Liberty tour in Beijing. Again, a really cool video here if you want to check it out on Twitter. And if they do update that Growl FM video, I'll be sure to link that down below in the description. That does about cover for today's video. If you like, subscribe. Until the next one. Deuces.